You know, people always say love shows up when you least expect it. For me, that couldn't be truer. My name is Ethan Miller, and when I was 29 years old, I fell in love with someone I was never supposed to. Someone I had known for most of my life. Someone who, in every way, was considered off-limits. Her name was Olivia Carter. She was 35, elegant, graceful, and she happened to be my older sister's best friend. This is the story of how one spring evening changed my life forever. A story of stolen glances, of loneliness and connection, of heartbreak and healing. A love story I never expected, but one I'll never forget. I hadn't seen Olivia in years. After college, I got wrapped up in work, long hours at a small Chicago tech startup, barely finding time for anything else. My life was all about deadlines, meetings, and pretending I had it all together. Then one evening in early spring, exhausted from work, I ducked into a little cafe near my apartment. The rain outside made the whole place glow warm and golden. And there, by the window, I saw her. At first, I almost didn't recognize her. But when she lifted her head, when those familiar hazel eyes met mine, I froze. "Ethan," she said, her voice soft but warm. "Olivia." I managed, a little awkward, a little stunned. She laughed, the same laugh I remembered from when I was a teenager, the laugh that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. She looked different now, more mature, a little tired, maybe, but still so beautiful. I sat down across from her, and before I knew it, an hour had passed. We talked about everything, her work managing an art gallery, my never-ending projects at the startup, the years we had missed. It felt easy. But underneath that ease was something else. Something neither of us dared name. After that night, we started running into each other more often. At first, it was coincidence. Then it wasn't. She'd text me, "Coffee after work?" Or I'd call her, "Want to grab dinner? I know a place." We told ourselves it was just friendship, just catching up. But anyone who saw us laughing together in that corner booth, anyone who noticed the way my eyes lingered when she brushed her hair back, would know better. There was one evening, I'll never forget it. We walked home together in the rain, sharing an umbrella. When we reached her building, I handed it to her. Our fingers brushed, and she froze. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice trembling, "you're too young to waste your time on someone like me." But the way she said it, it wasn't rejection. It was fear. Fear of what was already happening between us. And in that moment, I realized I was already too far gone. It happened slowly, then all at once. Late-night drives by the lake. Quiet dinners in out-of-the-way restaurants. Hours spent in her car, the rain tapping against the windows, both of us afraid to go home because being apart suddenly felt unbearable. She was careful, always careful. She reminded me she was 6 years older, that my sister would never understand, that people would judge. But when we were alone, when her hand brushed mine or her head rested against my shoulder, none of that mattered. There's a kind of love you can explain to the world, and then there's the kind you can't. Ours was the second kind. Of course, secrets never stay secret for long. It was my sister, Emily, who found out first. She walked into the cafe one afternoon, and there we were, laughing too much, sitting too close. Her face froze, her eyes darting between us. "Olivia." "Ethan." "What's going on here?" The silence that followed was louder than any argument. From that moment, the whispers began. Family dinners grew tense. Friends raised eyebrows. Everyone had an opinion, and none of them were kind. She's too old for you. She's your sister's best friend. This will never last. It felt like the whole world was against us. But how do you walk away from something that feels more real than anything you've ever known? The pressure began to take its toll. Olivia pulled back, little by little. She canceled dinners, answered my calls less often. When we were together, she seemed distracted, burdened by guilt. One night, she finally broke. "I can't do this, Ethan," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "I can't be the reason your family turns against you. I can't be the woman who ruins your future." Her words cut deeper than she knew. "You're not ruining my life," I said, my voice shaking. "You're the only thing that makes it feel alive." She kissed me then, harder than ever before. But in that kiss, I tasted goodbye. Weeks passed without her. I buried myself in work, in meaningless nights out, in anything that would keep me from thinking about her. But every song on the radio, every rainy night, every quiet moment reminded me of Olivia. And then, one stormy night, there was a knock on my door. When I opened it, she was there, soaked, shivering, her mascara streaked from crying. "I tried," she whispered, collapsing into my arms. "I tried to stay away. But I can't do this anymore." I held her close, tighter than I ever had before. We stood there, clinging to each other like the world outside didn't exist. And maybe for that night, it didn't. Time passed. People talked, they judged, they doubted. But slowly, the noise faded. Emily came around eventually, realizing I wasn't just infatuated, I was in love. Friends stopped whispering. Life went on. Olivia and I weren't perfect. We fought, we struggled, we carried the weight of other people's opinions. But we also laughed, built a home together, shared lazy Sundays and late-night drives, and learned that love is less about what the world thinks and more about what you're willing to fight for. And when I look back now, I realize something. Love doesn't always come the way you expect. Sometimes it comes through broken rules, through rainy nights, through people you thought you could never have. But when it does, you hold on. Because some love stories aren't meant to be ordinary. They're meant to be remembered. So if you're listening to this right now, maybe you're sitting alone tonight, maybe you're thinking about someone you shouldn't be thinking about. All I'll say is this: love doesn't follow rules. It doesn't wait for the right time. It just shows up, like rain on a spring night. And when it does, you'll know.